some people, just to keep along with my point, what I'm saying is that I think a lot of what might appear for someone, what's more significant than anything that appears in front of you, whether that be an animal, a person, an experience, digitally or in society, the different algorithms of the internet are not independent of causation. So there would be significance within the appearance of something according to an algorithm that would actually fit into the cycles of goings on of life that would be probably more sophisticated than what may be generally appreciated, maybe outside of high caliber learning and scholarship. The intentions that we have, but also the rates of activities of that are also prompted by intentions in life are much different now than they had been in just a few decades prior. And so sometimes people would say like, man, now there's so many genders, but when I was growing up, there was just two genders. Well, likely that was not the case because a lot of things were stifled and like underground or like in the closet or there was oppression, also sexual oppression in the past. I don't think that being in the closet is bad for a season for a person, because that actually I don't think some things are better enjoyed in privacy, such as sexual activity to a degree. Publicizing sexual activity, that like public displays of affection, that has its place and that can be enjoyable for some people, but also privacy is enjoyable for some people. So because someone is private about their sexuality does not have to be bad about them or for them, and that can be to a person's strong suit if they can manage it, and they might have a more deeper, richer experience like that. That would be theirs to enjoy. And people don't, just because a person of an inclination doesn't mean that they have to have that experience and have it land publicly constantly all of their life to be that. But then another thing, according to Osho, that's significant is that if you appreciate how a human being comes into their sexuality, the stages that would go through, and I've made a couple of videos, but also in an encounter of lovemaking, is that it's somewhat limiting to put a person in a box to say that because a person has been autosexual before or heterosexual before or homosexual before, that's all of what they must and can be. Some of your most beautiful people, but also like potent and potent and magnetic people, both in terms of heterosexuality, homosexuality, bisexuality, transsexuality, maybe autosexuality, is that they're not limited to one understanding of themselves or mode of existing. They don't have to be, and if they can appreciate that they don't have to be and lean into that as a strong suit, they can be more of any of those things and both of those things and none of those things or different than those things as they choose to in an environment. So what Osho would say is that you're not what you had been yesterday. What you had been yesterday is a blessing to you, because each day that you live and each thing you get to experience is a blessing to you and is yours as you have experienced it authentically, congruently, and you have paid for your experiences in different ways, and people who love you have paid for your experiences in different ways, both what you suffer and enjoy. So from that standpoint, what you have done yesterday is yours, and it's also to you to choose to experience today what you would like to experience, with the benefit of what you have experienced, the suffering and the joy of what you have experienced, what that leads into and leaves you as, it is yours to continue to choose to experience. So you're not limited as other human beings would limit you, as they're applying their definition that is overlaying their experience, projecting their experience onto another person. That's some of what's damaging about attitudes and judgment around sexuality. But then another standpoint is that people in the past would say, well, there were less genders. That's probably largely an asinine thing to say. However, some of that might be true in the fact that we simply exist at a different rate now because we have different goings on, different access to different experiences, both remotely and physically. Different. So there's different avenues for interacting now, for learning now, for working now, for living now, for paying things now, for loving now, for being a voyeur is like people that watch things. So like a lot of us we're actually voyeurs voyeurism can be problematic because attention affects different things. So if a person is paying attention to people who have not granted them access to private matters, that is actually invasive in a form of voyeurism. But also just being 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 cognizant of other people's goings on in a way that's aggressive, like that's actually what's called dogging someone out, is to be up in their privacy as you had not been invited. And that is that that is it's detrimental if you appreciate how subtle life is and happiness is, and sexuality is affected by attention. But I was going somewhere with that, is that but also, but by nature, in the modern reality, as much television as we watch our whole life, as much media as we're catered to, as much consumption, even a lot of activities we consume, sporting events, the energy of sporting events, according to King Noble, is that's a form of accessing and consuming energy, is witnessing sporting events. But we witness different things differently by nature, by almost we're obliged to witness things so much over a lifetime, things that we like. So you watch TV shows, you see someone being victimized, or sharing humorous experiences, or maybe lovemaking, whatnot, whether that be like in a rom-com, a soap opera, a sitcom, or even all the way up to adult film. That experience in nature, you wouldn't be seeing that much of that in nature. You would see maybe some of that, but not that much that way in nature. You wouldn't have access or be privy to that. So from that standpoint, we're actually trained and inculcated to be voyeurs. Voyeurism is part of the natural, the modern context. Also, invasion of privacy is part of the natural context, because privacy is one of our deepest possessions, and actual privacy is one of our strongest possessions and actual capital and economic standing. Because some of the things that I can do, like even making this video now at this hour of night, I wouldn't have the ability to do this at leisure, at comfort, and in my strong suit and initiative, were I sharing living quarters with another person. So privacy is actually a very significant value in terms of attaining skills and economics, and the economics and opportunities that come with skills, and the skills that come with opportunities. That's part of privacy. That's some of the benefit of having a personal vehicle, but then also having a living accommodation is the privacy. But all things of value are sought to be overridden and appropriated in a dog advantage for the sake of advantage, no prisoners, no holds barred, zero sum contest, as our modern financial gaming in reality exists as, such that privacy is a commodity, and it's therefore invaded and sold seamlessly with the digital technology, but also the financial incentives. But a lot of us are a lot of voyeurs at this point. But that's still part of activity in our rate of existing, and that's not all the way necessarily good or bad, because I can imagine in the past, had people had access to adult entertainment or different forms of entertainment, they would be as keen to enjoy it and would be enjoying it as we are. But it just goes to show that we're existing at different rates of goings on, driving up and down the speedway, the highway way faster, doing things fast all the time, transacting things fast, purchasing things on the whim in the middle of the night on a holiday when otherwise things would be closed, going back. We're existing at different rates, therefore different experiences are popping up for us, different people are popping up for us, different videos are popping up for us, and we're engaging that and changing with that, because we change with all that we perceive and do, and the rate and the placement and the nature that is the meaning and intention of what we do, such that there may actually be different genders than there have been in the past, because we are existing at different rates. And that can be a beautiful thing if a person leans into that, and that benefits a person and they learn from that.